So uterus is an inverted pear-shaped organ, highly mobile. See, this blue one is the uterus. In front there is bladder. Posteriorly there is the rectum. It is highly mobile, thick-walled muscular organ in the female body, and it is situated obliquely in the lesser pelvis between the urinary bladder anteriorly and the rectum and sigmoid colon posteriorly. Okay, so this is the location of the uterus. Next. So the uterus comes from the Latin word, okay, and Greek word hystera. Something we describe about uterus, we use this word hystera. Okay, hystera is coming from Greek word that means womb. Okay, so uterus is a childbearing organ in females, and it provides a suitable site and environment for implantation of a fertilized ovum and development of the embryo. Uterus is a thick-walled muscular organ with narrow lumen. You can see here half of the uterus is cut open to visualize the lumen. So wall is very thick. You can see here, and lumen is narrow. Situated in the pelvis between the urinary bladder and the rectum. Superiorly on each side, it communicates with the uterine tube. Here you can see superiorly it is communicating with the uterine tube, and inferiorly with the vagina. Here communicates with the vagina. Okay, so these are the communications of the uterus. Next. Next, we go to shape and size. So, uterus is pear-shaped, being flattened antero-posteriorly. Okay, these are the measurements. Length is about 3 inches, 7.5 centimeter. Breadth is at the fundus region. Breadth is about 2 inches, that is 5 centimeter. And thickness is 1 inch, that is 2.5 centimeters. So 3 inch, 2 inch, 1 inch, like this you can remember length, breadth, and thickness. And weight is about 30 to 40 gram. So these are the normal measurements of uterus. Next. Next, we go to the subdivisions or different parts of the uterus. Uterus is divided into two main parts. The large upper pear-shaped part is known as the body of the uterus, and the small lower cylindrical part is known as cervix of the uterus. So here this part is the body of the uterus, and this part is cervix of the uterus, and here is the vaginal cornices. These are ovaries, broad ligament, fallopian tubes, and the peritoneal folds. Okay. So the junction between the body forms upper two-third of the uterus, and cervix forms lower one-third of the uterus. The junction between the body and cervix is marked by a circular constriction that is known as isthmus. Here, this is the junction between the body and cervix. This part is known as isthmus, and the uterine tubes are attached to the upper part of the body. Here the uterine tubes are attached. The point of fusion between the uterine tube and body is called cornu of the uterus. So these are the two cornus of the uterus. Okay, understood? Here the uterine tubes are getting attached to the body of the uterus. Next. Next we go to the structure of the uterus. So, wall of the body of uterus consists of three layers. See, this is the wall consists of three layers from superficial to deep. These are outermost is the perimetrium. Perimetrium is the peritoneal covering of the uterus derived from broad ligament. Here, this thin layer peritoneal covering is known as perimetrium of the uterus. Next, we go to the myometrium. It is the thickest layer and consists of compactly arranged smooth muscle bundle. So, this is the myometrium of the uterus. Okay. Next, we go to the endometrium. Innermost lining is the endometrium. It is the mucosal lining of the body of uterus, and it shows cyclical changes. Okay. During the follicular phase or during the secretory phase, thickness and the composition of the endometrium changes. Okay, the structure of cervix is different from body, for it is not lined by the endometrium and it does not show any cyclical changes. So the cyclical changes of endometrium is occurring only within the body of the uterus. Okay, and this endometrium is set off during the menstruation. Okay, next. So we'll discuss the body. So above which part is body? There is a part called fundus. Which part is fundus? Above the imaginary horizontal plane passing through the opening of uterine tube, expanded dome-like end of body is known as the fundus. Okay, fundus of the uterus. And fundus is convex on all sides, covered by the peritoneum, and the body extends from the fundus to the isthmus. Isthmus is a junction with the cervix below, and it contains the uterine cavity. And the body is flattened anteroposteriorly and presents anterior and posterior surfaces and right and left lateral borders. Okay, so these are the presenting parts of uterus: fundus, body, and cervix. There are two surfaces, anterior, posterior surfaces, and two lateral borders, right and left lateral borders. Okay, these presenting parts are important for your viscera. Okay, we have female composite viscera. There you will get the uterus. Uterus with adnexa. Adnexa means those peritoneal folds, ovary, fallopian tube. All those are included within adnexa. Okay. So you have to identify all those parts in female composite viscera that will be given in your pelvic viscera table. Okay, in Viva practical. So anterior surface is flat, directed downward and forward. Okay, it is lying over the urinary bladder. It is covered by the peritoneum up to the isthmus, where it is reflected onto the upper surface of bladder, forming the uterovesical pouch. Okay. Posterior surface, it is convex, directed upward and backward, covered by peritoneum, which extends downward up to the posterior fornix of the vagina, and where it is reflected on the anterior surface aspect of the rectum, forming the rectouterine pouch or pouch of Douglas. Okay, so these are the two surfaces and their peritoneal coverings. Next, see the peritoneal covering. So this orange line, this is representing the peritoneum. So it is first covering the posterior aspect of anterior abdominal wall, then back of the pubis, then superior surface of the bladder, then it is forming the uterovesical pouch. Okay, here in between the bladder and uterus. Then it is covering the uterus, first anterior surface, then fundus. This part is fundus, and this is posterior surface up to the posterior fornix of vagina. And here it is forming another pouch, that is rectouterine pouch or pouch of Douglas, which is the most dependent part in pelvis. And then it is reflecting over the anterior surface of the rectum. Okay, so this is the peritoneal reflection. Next, right and left lateral border. Each lateral border is rounded. See, this is a transfer section through the uterus. So these are the two lateral borders. Okay. So right and left lateral borders are present, and each lateral border is rounded and related to the uterine artery. Along the lateral border, uterine artery will be lying, which is a tortuous artery, and the uterine tube enters the uterus at the upper end of this lateral border. Here, this is the uterine tube is entering here into the uterus. And here the round ligament of uterus is attached antero-inferior to the tube. Here, this part is anterior, this is posterior. So, round ligament of uterus is attached anterior-inferior to the uterine tube. And this ovarian ligament or ligament of ovary is attached posterior-inferior to the uterine tube. Okay. And the ligament of ovary is attached posterior-inferior to the tube. These locations are important and you have to identify according to the location, these structures. Fallopian tube, round ligament of uterus, and ligament of ovary. Okay, in the viscera. Next, we go to the cervix. So we have discussed grossly the body of the uterus. Next, we go to cervix. It is the lower cylindrical part of uterus, and its lower part projects into the upper part of vagina through the anterior wall. See, this is isthmus, and below it cervix. Below this part, here is the cervix. So it is projecting into the upper part of the vagina and forming the vaginal cornices. Thus, the cervix divides into two parts, upper supravaginal part and lower vaginal part. So, here the vagina is attaching. So, this upper part is supravaginal part and lower part is intravaginal part. Okay. And this narrowing above the cervix, this is known as internal os. And where it opens into the vagina, this is external os. Okay, so this and in between these two os lies the cervical canal. Okay. Next, uterus lies in anteverted and anteflexed position. What is anteversion? What is anteflexion? All these are asked in your viva. Okay. So normally the uterus lies in position of anteversion and anteflexion. What is anteversion? This is the angle between the axis of the cervix. This is axis of the cervix and axis of the vagina. So the long axis of cervix is normally bent forward on the long axis of vagina, forming an angle of about 90 degree. So this angle of anteversion is 90 degree between axis of vagina and axis of cervix. And this position is called position of anteversion. Next, anteflexion. Long axis of body of uterus is bent forward at the level of isthmus, that is internal os, on the long axis of cervix, forming an angle of 125 degree. See, positions of the uterus. Anteriorly, the body of uterus is related to the uterovesical pouch. Anteriorly, the body of uterus is related to the uterovesical pouch and the superior surface of the urinary bladder. Here, this one is uterovesical pouch and it is related to the superior surface of the bladder. The supravaginal part of cervix is related to the posterior surface of the urinary bladder. Here, this part is cervix, so supravaginal part of cervix is directly related to the posterior surface of the bladder. The vaginal portion of cervix is related to anterior fornix of the vagina. This part is vaginal part of cervix. It is related to anterior fornix of vagina. Next we go to posterior relation. Body of uterus is related to the rectouterine pouch. Here is the rectouterine pouch. Within this pouch lies the coils of ileum and sigmoid colon. So all these are related to the posteriorly to the uterus. And the vaginal portion of cervix is related to posterior fornix here. This vaginal part of cervix is related to posterior fornix of the vagina. Next we go to lateral relations. The body of uterus is related to the broad ligament and uterine artery and the uterine vein. All these are lying along the lateral margin of the uterus. The supravaginal portion of cervix is related to the ureter and uterine artery, and the vaginal portion of cervix is related to the lateral fornices of the vagina. Okay, so these are the lateral relations of the uterus and the cervix. Next, see this anterior posterior relation you have seen. Anteriorly related to this peritoneal pouch, uterovesical pouch, and posterior surface of bladder, and posteriorly related to this rectouterine pouch or pouch of Douglas, posterior fornix of vagina, all this. And lateral relation, you can see this is uterine artery lying along the lateral border of the uterus. Okay, and Here is attachment of fallopian tube at the upper end of lateral border. Antero-inferior to it will be the round ligament of uterus. Posterior-inferior to tube will be the ligament of the ovary. So these attachments are important. And here this uterine artery is crossing the ureter. So during ligation of uterine artery, there is high chance of ligating the ureter and damage to the ureter. Okay. Next we go to the cavity of the uterus. Cavity of uterus is small in comparison to its size due to its thick muscular wall. See, this brown colored portion is representing the wall and the violet colored portion representing the cavity. So the cavity of the body of uterus is triangular in shape and apex is directed below towards the cervix. So here is the cervix. Cervix is a canal-like structure. Okay. So cavity of uterus is small in comparison to its size due to its thick muscular wall, and it is divided into two parts: cavity of the body of the uterus and cavity of the cervix. So first we will discuss cavity of body of uterus or uterine cavity proper. It is triangular in the coronal section. Here we are seeing the coronal section of uterus. The apex of this cavity is continuous below with the cervical canal through the internal os. Here is the internal os. So this triangular cavity is continuous below with the cervical canal at the level of internal os. And the implantation commonly occurs in the upper part of its posterior wall. Here, in this area, implantation occurs. It is slit in sagittal section because the uterus is compressed anteroposteriorly and its anterior and posterior walls are almost in contact. Okay, so this is the uterine cavity proper. Next we go to cavity of the uterus or cavity of cervix or cervical canal. It is spindle-shaped canal. In the previous picture you have seen spindle-shaped canal. Above there is internal os, below there is external os. So it is spindle-shaped canal being broader in the middle and narrow at the two ends. It communicates anterosuperiorly with the cavity of body of uterus through internal os and inferiorly with the cavity of vagina through the external os, that is ostium uteri. In nulliparous women who have not given birth to a baby, the external os is small and circular. See, this is external os of a nulliparous woman. Whereas in multiparous women who have given birth to two or more babies, the external os is large and transverse. Here, this is in multiparous woman. External os is large and transverse and presents anterior and posterior lips. Okay, so that is the difference of external os in nulliparous and multiparous female. Next, so this is external os in a nulliparous female. Okay, in a hysterectomy specimen. So it is normal cervix with a smooth glistening mucosal surface. This mucosal surface is smooth and glistening, you can see, and there is a small rim of vaginal cup from the hysterectomy specimen. See, this is vaginal cup around the cervix. So this part is known as the fornix. Okay, so anteriorly there will be anterior fornix, posteriorly posterior fornix, and on the two sides, right and left lateral fornices of the vagina. Okay, so there is a small rim of vaginal cup from the hysterectomy specimen, and the cervical os is small here and round, typical for a nulliparous woman, and the os will have a fish mouth shape after one or more pregnancies. In multiparous woman, it will look like a fish mouth appearance. Okay. Next we go to the ligaments of the uterus. The ligaments of the uterus are classified into two types: false ligament and true ligament. Ligaments are very, very important. It comes as a long question. Okay, ligaments of uterus. You prepare as a long question. So ligaments of the uterus are classified into two two types, false ligament and true ligament. False ligaments are peritoneal folds, whereas true ligaments are fibromuscular bands. And the false ligaments do not provide support to the uterus, while true ligament provides support to the uterus. Okay, false ligament are only folds of peritoneum. That's why they are not giving much support, but they also help in some part of support of the uterus. So these are the false ligaments and these are the true ligaments. True ligaments are round ligaments, transverse cervical ligaments or McIntyre's ligament, uterosacral ligament and pivocervical ligament. All these are paired ligament. Okay. And false ligament, these are the false ligaments. First one is broad ligaments and rectouterine folds of peritoneum. These are paired and there are also two unpaired folds. One is uterovesical fold, that is anterior ligament. Another is rectovaginal fold, that is posterior ligament. So all these are false ligament of the uterus. Okay. Next. So here, this is one hysterectomy specimen. Here is the gross appearance of a normal uterus with fundus, lower uterine segment, cervix, vaginal cup, two fallopian tubes, two ovaries from a young woman. So this part is the body of uterus. Here is the cervix. This is isthmus. So this is cervical opening, and here is the vaginal cup. These are the two ovaries. These are fallopian tubes. Okay. These are the broad ligaments, peritoneal folds, and these are the ligament of the ovary. Okay, so this is one hysteroophorectomy specimen. We have removed both the uterus along with two ovaries. Okay. Next we go to the support of uterus. Very important long question. What is the, also asked in your Viva table, also important for theory. Okay. So importance of support, the supporter of the uterus is needed to keep it in its actual position and prevent from sagging down. Sagging down means prolapse of the uterus. Okay, and uterus, body of the uterus will come out through the vaginal opening. The uterus is supported and prevented from prolapse, that is downward displacement, by a number of structures providing support to the uterus. Next, these are the supports. There are primary supports and secondary supports. Primary supports are given by muscular structures. They gives active support, and there are visceral structures and fibromuscular structures. And secondary supports are given by peritoneal folds, those false ligaments we have read, and the pelvic cellular tissue, that is parametrium. So peritoneal folds are broad ligaments, uterovesical fold and rectouterine fold. All these are providing secondary support, and primary support we will discuss in details. So first, muscular support is given by pelvic diaphragm. Okay, pelvic diaphragm is mainly formed by the levator ani. Next is perineal body lying between the vaginal opening and the anal opening. And urogenital diaphragm, it is formed by two layers, superior and inferior layer of urogenital diaphragm. So all these are providing muscular support and actively supports the uterus from prolapse. Next is visceral support. Visceral support is given by urinary bladder, in front, vagina, because of this axis, anteversion and anteflexion with the vagina, and this uterine axis. This angulation also helps to prevent prolapse. Next we go to fibromuscular support is given by true ligaments. 4 true ligaments you have read: McIntyre ligament, pivocervical ligament, uterosacral ligament and round ligament. So all these are supports of uterus. Okay, so you have to discuss in 1 or 2 lines all those structures during writing down supports of uterus. Next, so first we will discuss the muscular support, which are the active supports. Next, so first is pelvic diaphragm. Pelvic diaphragm is a gutter-shaped musculofacial partition between the pelvic cavity and the perineum. And the pubococcygeus part of levator ani plays the most significant supportive role of the uterus. Pubococcygeus has four components: pubococcygeus proper, puborectalis, puboanalis, and pubovaginalis or pubovesicalis. So these are the parts of pubococcygeus, main support forming pelvic diaphragm. And pubovaginalis narrows the hiatus urogenitalis and constricts the vagina from side to side and prevents the descent of the uterus. Okay. So these parts, pubovaginalis, it narrows the hiatus urogenitalis and constricts the vagina from side to side and prevents the descent of the uterus. Okay, so all these four components of pubococcygeus helps in support. Next, see here, we are seeing the pelvic diaphragm. So here is opening of urethra, opening of vagina, anal opening. So this muscle is levator ani. It has different parts. This part is pubococcygeus. This is ischio-coccygeus. This pubococcygeal parts mainly takes part in support of the uterus. Okay. Here also you can see this part is forming the pelvic diaphragm and helps in primary support of the forming the pelvic floor muscles and helps in primary support of the uterus. Next we go to perineal body. It is a pyramidal fibromuscular node intervening between the anal canal and the urogenital apparatus. Okay. So it is known as gynecological perineum, which receives the attachment of these muscles: longitudinal coat of the anal canal, sphincter ani externus, superficial transverse perineae, deep transverse perineae muscle, bulbospongiosum, pubococcygeus part of the levator ani. Okay, so all these structures are attached over the perineal body. And the perineal body acts as an anchor for the pelvic diaphragm and maintains the integrity of the pelvic floor. If it is torn during the delivery and not properly repaired, the urogenital hiatus becomes enlarged and the vagina dilates and uterus descent. Okay, there is high chance of descent of uterus in case of injury to the perineal body. So you have to do repair of the perineal body. And also in perineal body injury, there will be communication, okay, between the vagina and the anus. So there will be continuous leakage of fecal matter through the vaginal opening because there is no sphincter within the vagina. Descent means prolapse, uterus not getting proper support, descent through the vagina. This is perineal body, and the levator ani muscle, they are getting attached at the perineal body and providing support of the uterus. Like these two hands are holding this ball in position. Like this, it is supporting. Okay. So here, this yellow portion is representing perineal body, lying between the vaginal opening and anal opening. And here is the urethral opening. Okay. The green portion is bulbocavernosus. The red portion is the ischiocavernosus. Okay. So all these muscles helps in support of the uterus. Next we go to the urogenital diaphragm. So this is levator ani. This was forming the pelvic diaphragm, and this part is the urogenital diaphragm, formed by the superior facial layer of urogenital diaphragm and inferior facial layer of urogenital diaphragm, and within these two fascia lies the deep perineal pouch. So urogenital diaphragm is a musculofascial partition between the pelvic cavity. Here is the pelvic cavity and the anterior part of pelvic outlet. Here is the pelvic outlet. So in between the two, this acts as a partition, urogenital diaphragm. It helps in closure of the urogenital hiatus from below and constricts the vagina. Okay, so this is function of the urogenital diaphragm. Next, Next, we go to the visceral support. You can see here the yellow structure represents the bladder. Here is the urethra, which are lying anteriorly, okay, providing support from anterior aspect. This vagina helps in keeping the uterus in position due to angulations and uterine axis, anteversion and anteflexion. And posteriorly lies this rectum anal canal, okay. And here within the rectouterine pouch lies the coils of ileum and sigmoid colon. Okay, so all these structures provides support from the posterior aspect. These are acts as a visceral support. Okay, understood. Next, axis we have already discussed. Angle of anteversion, angulation between axis of the cervix and axis of the vagina, axis of the cervix. Angulation is 90 degree. It is forward angle. Angle of anteversion is a forward angle formed by long axis of vagina and that of cervix at the level of external os. You can see the angle is formed at the level of external os, measuring approximately 90 degree, provided urinary bladder and rectum are empty. If the bladder is full, it will displace the uterus posteriorly. Okay, and if the rectum is full, it will displace the uterus more anteriorly. Okay. In retroverted uterus, uterus will be angulated posteriorly. Okay. So that is known as retroverted uterus. And in retroverted uterus lies in same axis along with the vagina, and there is high chance of prolapse in retroverted uterus. Normal position is anteverted. It is bent anteriorly over the urinary bladder. Next is angle of anteflexion. This is angle of anteflexion, angle between the axis of the uterine body, axis of the cervix. It is the forward angle formed by long axis of uterus and that of the cervix at the level of internal os. Here is the angle is formed, measuring approximately 125 degree to 170 degree, and provided the urinary bladder and rectum are empty. When they are full, there is change in angulations. Okay. Next we go to the fibromuscular support. Fibromuscular support is given by the true ligaments. Okay. So 4 ligaments are there. First one is McEnroe's ligament. These are fan-shaped fibromuscular band derived from condensation of the parametric tissue, and they form a hammock and that keep the cervix in position and prevent downward displacement of the uterus. And it is also known as lateral or transverse cervical ligament or cardinal ligaments. All these terms are important. Any of these terms can be given. Okay, in your MCQs or Viva, any of these can be asked. Hammock means those bed-like structure. On the two side, it is tied with the knots, and it is formed by mainly sheet of cotton. Okay, so next we go to the pubocervical ligaments. These are a pair of thin fibrous band and which extends from cervix to the posterior surface of the pubis. So these are the pubocervical ligaments, extend from cervix to the pubis. So it is pulling the cervix anteriorly. Next is uterosacral ligaments. This ligament extends from cervix to the third sacral ligament. So they are pulling the cervix towards the posteriorly. So all these ligaments are balancing with each other. One is pulling anteriorly, another is pulling posteriorly, and these McEnroe's ligaments are pulling mainly laterally. Okay. So all these are balancing together to keep it in position, and they pull the cervix backward and helps in maintenance of anteversion and anteflexion position of the uterus. So that's why these ligaments are important. Next, see here this schematic diagram you practice. Okay, here is a section through the pelvis. This is rectum. Posteriorly, here is sacrum, and there is the urinary bladder. Here is symphysis pubis, and this is uterus. So these ligaments are the uterosacral ligament, which is pulling the uterus posteriorly, connecting it with the third sacral vertebra. And here it is connected to the pubis by pubocervical ligament, pulling the uterus anteriorly. And on the lateral side, along the lateral margin, attachment is transverse cervical ligament or McEnroe's ligament. Okay, so all these ligaments are balancing with each other to keep the uterus in position. Okay, understood? Next. Next we go to round ligament of uterus. Here this one is round ligament of uterus. You have read the contents of the inguinal canal. In female, content was round ligament of uterus, and in male was vas deferens. So this round ligament of uterus helps in also a true ligament of uterus. So it is a remnant of distal part of gubernaculum of ovary and attached proximally to the cornu of uterus. Here, this is the cornu of uterus, attached proximally to cornu of uterus and distally to the labia majora. Here it is entering the deep ring, passing through the inguinal canal, coming out through the superficial inguinal ring, and then being dispersed within the labia majora. Okay, and it is attached proximally to cornu of uterus, distally to the labia majora, and it pulls the fundus forward. Here you can see it is pulling the fundus. This rounded part is fundus. Pulls the fundus forward, maintains the anteversion and anteflexion of the uterus. Next. So primary support we have discussed. Okay. Next, within the primary support, we have discussed the active support or muscular support. Then we have discussed the true ligament, fibromuscular support, and visceral support. Okay. Next, we go to the secondary supports. Secondary supports are the peritoneal folds and the parametric tissue. So first we will discuss the peritoneal folds or false ligaments. Okay. Next. First one is broad ligaments. Broad ligaments can come as a short note. Okay, it's different. It has different borders. You read in your book: superior, inferior, medial, lateral border. Its content and within which lies its different divisions according to the location of the ovaries. So each broad ligament, it is a broad quadrilateral fold of peritoneum that extends from lateral border of uterus to the lateral pelvic wall. See, this is the broad ligament extend from lateral border of the uterus to the lateral pelvic wall. And here at this lower margin line, this crossing of the uterine artery with the ureter. And within the broad ligament lies this ovary. It also covers the fallopian tube and this ligament of the ovaries. Okay. Next. So these are the peritoneal folds. Anterior to the uterus, there is uterovesical pouch, this peritoneal fold, and posterior to the uterus lies this rectouterine pouch of Douglas. And this rectouterine pouch lies about 5.5 centimeter above the anus. In rectal examination, at this distance, you can feel any substance within rectouterine pouch of Douglas. Next. So uterovesical fold, it is formed by reflection of peritoneum that extends from anterior border of body of uterus to the upper surface of the bladder, urinary bladder. We have seen in previous picture. And rectovaginal or rectouterine fold, it is formed by peritoneal reflection from posterior fornix of vagina to the rectum, and it forms the floor of the pouch of Douglas. Okay. Next. So these are the false ligament, broad ligament, and these two peritoneal folds. Okay, uterovesical and rectouterine fold of peritoneum. And next, last one, secondary supports is also given by this tissue, pelvic cellular tissue or loose packing material of the pelvis. The parametric tissue made up of fibroareolar and fibromuscular tissue which fills up the dead space between the pelvic peritoneum and the pelvic floor, and it acts as a packing substance. Okay. And ovarian hormones control the growth of the parametric tissues. Ovarian hormones means LH, FSH coming from the pituitary gland. They are stimulating production of estrogen, progesterone. Okay, so all these are helps in development of this parametric tissue are and growth of the different female reproductive organs. Next. Okay, that's all. So we have discussed all the supports of uterus, primary and secondary supports. Very important long question can also come as a short note. Okay, this support of uterus, and you prepare different presenting parts of uterus, its relations. It can also come in theory and very important for your viva. In female composite viscera, you will be asked all those parts. Okay, different ligaments, if visible, can be you have to identify, and all those uterus and adnexa, body of uterus, cervix of uterus, anterior, posterior surface, two lateral borders, fallopian tube, ovary, ligament of ovary, round ligament of uterus, all those you have to identify, and those peritoneal pouches also you have to identify. Okay, uterovesical, rectouterine. Understood? Any queries? And the clinical aspect, main clinical aspect is prolapse of uterus. Okay.